Hey everybody, welcome back to Touchy Reaction, Sabaton fans. I got another good one for you tonight. We're going to be checking out the song White Death. Now, when I did Ghost in the Trenches, everybody was telling me don't be too impressed with that guy's kill ratio, because when you see White Death, you're going to see the most deadly sniper that's ever lived. So that's the story we're getting into tonight. Haven't heard the song before, haven't heard the history behind it before, but you guys told me this one is the real deal sniper right here. This song was requested by three different people whose names I took down. I'm sure more of you requested it, but these were the first three. Lionel Lyons, thank you, Lionel. May Nikado and Sean Aries, thank you all for requesting this song. Finally got around to it. This was part of the Patreon poll that I did over on the Patreon, and this was one of the songs that was requested as get it done sooner than later, and here we are getting it done. So, we're going to be watching three videos tonight. We're going to start with a lyric video, then we're going to watch the Sabaton history, and then we're going to wrap it up with a live performance at Woodstock. So there was no music video for this one. There actually wasn't anything on Sabaton's YouTube website for this song. I had all this stuff is either on the History Channel or on fans' pages. So that was a little surprising to me to see that. But anyway, I'm excited to get into this. Real quick, just want to say thank you to everybody who's been supporting the channel. I am knocking on 10,000 subscribers. By the time this video drops, we'll probably already be there. So thank you all for helping me get to 10,000 subscribers. That's awesome, awesome, awesome. The Sabaton Army's been there for me since very early in my channel, and a lot of those 10,000 came from the Sabaton Army. So thank you all for supporting the channel, for liking my videos, commenting, let me know what to go check out, giving me crap when I give bad reviews of songs, all that stuff. I love it. You guys are all the best. I can tell you're really passionate about this group, and for obvious reasons. I'm getting super excited about seeing them in concert this year. I've been jamming out this weekend to a bunch of my favorite songs, and I'm ready to add another one to the list. So let's go ahead and jump into White Death. We're going to start with this lyric video first, and then we will roll into the history. So here we go. All right, not thrilled about the first verse, but the hook and chorus on this are enough to make up for it. I love that they're writing it from the perspective of you're giving a warning to the prey of the White Death coming to get you. That's a very cool way to write a song. Let's continue, see what this next verse has for us.
Stay on
love the guitar solo. That was interesting to get a keyboard solo there. This was obviously back when they had a keyboard player in the group. Uh, long solo break right there. That was pretty. I don't know, about a minute of solos going on there, which is a little uncommon for Sabaton songs, but I enjoyed it. I like the guitar part of it. I like the keyboard part of it. Very nice. All right. So just giving the overall sound of the song, had a pretty long intro. Verse 1, the chorus was great. Verse 2, the chorus was great. Had a long guitar solo, long keyboard solo, and then we kind of did a rolling chorus at the end. It was very nice. I don't know where to rate this song. And like I say, early Sabaton's always hard to put your finger on because it's grown and changed so much over time. I don't hate this song. The chorus is very good on it, so that gives it points for me. And I don't know, this might be in my top 25, something like that. I'm really interested to hear the story behind this song more than anything. I think I saw in the lyrics there that this particular sniper was a Finn. So we'll see if I'm right about that. And let's go ahead and jump over into the history with Mr. Indy Nidell and Joachim from Sabaton. Yeah, this is an early one. This was Sabaton History number 28. Finnish sniper Simo Hayaya. I'm sure I'll figure out how to pronounce those A's here in a minute. This is White Death, Sabaton History number 28. Here we go.
I'm Indy Nidell.
And I'm Joachim from Sabaton.
And this is Sabaton History. The most prolific sniper in any war was a Finnish soldier fighting in Finland's winter war against the Soviet Union.
And the man is Simo Häyhä, and the Russians knew him as the White Death.
Simo Häyhä was born December 17, 1905, in the small Finnish municipality of Rautjärvi, near the Russian border. His peers described him as a friendly, mild-mannered, introverted man who kept to himself and to his daily work as a farmhand. Rautjärvi is surrounded by the tough Finnish wilderness, so although Simo grew up in quiet times away from city life, his own life was far from easy. The harsh, unforgiving winters forced the people of southeast Finland to come to terms with the wilderness around them. Early on, Simo excelled as a naturally gifted hunter, spending most of his youth outside in the forest, shooting small game with an old bolt-action rifle. By the age of 20, he had undergone his mandatory military service and had been promoted to corporal. He took part in several skiing and shooting competitions. He was a real biathlete, and he was especially renowned for his skills with the rifle. Like most Finnish men, he had joined the national militia after his compulsory service. This was the Suojeluskunta, a service for young men that dated back to Finland's Declaration of Independence in 1917 and the Civil War the following year. The service trained men like Häyhä to be prepared for those times when Finland most needed them. Such times came November 30th, 1939, as the Soviet Union declared war on Finland. A man from a simple upbringing like Simo Häyhä cared little for world politics, nor much about the ambitions of dictators of the time like Joseph Stalin. But like many Finns, he was fiercely independent and valued his and his country's liberty above pretty much all else. That liberty would be lost if the Finnish people did not stand up to defend it, regardless of the size of the enemy. So as the call to arms came, Höyhe, like many of his countrymen, answered. He joined the 34th Infantry Regiment in the Kola region north of Lake Ladoga. The Soviet 8th Army aimed for a quick breakthrough across the Kolanyoki River, but they were utterly unprepared to fight in such a region. Heavily wooded, with barely any infrastructure at the best of times, the Soviets tried to advance now in one of the worst winters in modern history, with snow up to 2 meters deep and temperatures down to -30. Höyhe was given a Finnish Mosin Nagant M28-30, which had been in production since 1928. A bit shorter and a bit heavier than the Russian-manufactured rifles, but with the typical Mosin Nagant reliability and accuracy. The M28 was an excellent sniper rifle, nicknamed the Pistikorva, pointy ear, for the large ears on the front sight. It would perform well in the hands of an experienced marksman like Simo Höyhe. The Finns could not hope to win against the might of the Soviet army in a straight-up pitched battle. The Soviets simply had more of everything: tanks, men, artillery. Instead, the Finnish art of war relied heavily on hit-and-run tactics, with men on skis who knew the terrain, outflanking, infiltrating, and ambushing the sluggish Soviet invaders, many of whom had no skis or did not know how to ski, ruining mobility. While the Finns were naturally familiar with the winter conditions, the Soviet forces were woefully not. Many came from the military district of Leningrad and had not even been supplied for a long, drawn-out conflict.
So how lucky was it that the Russians chose to do this offensive during one of the worst winters ever? It just gave that little bit of an advantage to the Finns in defending their homeland. And, if they'd have waited till warmer weather, Russia might have had the overwhelming advantage. But they kind of balanced the playing field by attacking during the winter when their troops just weren't ready for a winter war. That's very lucky for the Finns.
The winters in Finland are harsh and unforgiving, and even when the sun is out during the short days, it is still bitterly cold. Höyhe wrapped himself in a thick and heavy snowsuit, insulating himself as much as possible from the snow and the cold winds, and he wore fur mittens and a sniper mask. The white color of his clothing blended in perfectly with the winter environment and the snow-covered forests of Kola. He preferred to work alone, being accustomed to stalking the deep forests on his own, and he knew to rely on his instincts. Patience was vital, as was leaving as little trace of his passage as possible. A hunter had to be cunning and precise in his actions, carrying only a day's worth of food and around 50 or 60 rounds with him. Höyhe relied on his knowledge of the wilderness to find a good spot from which he could establish his sniper's nest. Once he found his position, he would build a little snow fort around himself to blend in with the environment. He placed his rifle on a snowbank that both stabilized his aim and prevented any snow from being thrown up by the recoil, and waited for the enemy to march into his killing field. When Soviet soldiers, struggling and freezing in the snow, would cross his path, Höyhe put a handful of snow in his mouth to hide his breath. Then he pulled the trigger. It is said that during his training in the army, he was able to hit a target 150 meters away up to 16 times a minute. So now, the marching routes were full of dead Soviet soldiers who fell prey to the hidden marksmen without ever knowing what had hit them. Soviet positions were soon discovered, deserted of the living, but packed with bodies, frozen in their last positions before being shot and killed. Sometimes they were found still standing up, and in the sub-zero temperatures, even a minor wound was often fatal, as the weakened body would have a harder time surviving the elements. And Höyhe is believed to have not missed his target very often. In his short time at the front, his kill tally would rise to unprecedented levels. Hundreds fell to his rifle. So many, in fact, that his superiors did not believe the stories at first. Apparently, just before Christmas, he killed 25 soldiers in just one day. While Many Finnish and Soviet snipers used modern sniping rifles outfitted with telescopic lenses. Höyhe relied on the old-fashioned iron sights.
Wow.
Not only did he feel that this gave him a better picture of his target, but more importantly, it would allow him to keep his head down lower, and in turn, lower his whole profile, making him harder to spot. And lenses could reflect the light and reveal position, as was the case with many Soviet marksmen who were sent out to counter-snipe him and instead met their fate to his outdated rifle. But Höyhe was also trained with the 9mm Suomi submachine gun, and depending on the fighting at hand, he also carried hand grenades and a traditional pulkko army knife as a last resort. As a sniper, acting often alone beyond the front lines, Höyhe had to be careful and often forfeited obvious targets if they would endanger his position. The Soviets began beefing up their own counter-sniping activity, especially after his kill tally gained him both fame and infamy. If they suspected him of being somewhere, they would order artillery strikes in his general direction in the hope of finally neutralizing him. There's even the story that a Soviet commander asked to be sent a famous Soviet sniper to eliminate Höyhe. After that sniper had killed several Finnish soldiers and officers, he waited for Simo to react and eventually show himself. He waited and waited, and as the sun went down, he decided to call it a day and was about to get up. That was when Simo Höyhe shot him right through the head. Another story was that Soviet soldiers began carrying large iron shields into the field to help guard them from sniper fire. The Finnish snipers like Höyhe were accurate enough that they simply shot them in the kneecaps.
Wow.
Such stories began to circulate more and more, as Simo Höyhe became famous to friends and foe alike. The Finnish propaganda portrayed him as a symbol that embodied the struggle of little defiant Finland, while the Soviet propaganda called him Pimeä Smrt, White Death. The legend of White Death spoke of a ghost-like figure that was both everywhere and nowhere, creeping tirelessly through the woods. It freaked the Soviet soldiers out, and it boosted Finnish morale. On February 17, 1940, 80 days after the invasion, Simo Höyhe was officially proclaimed a hero of Finland by the Finnish government, and with hundreds of kills to his name already then, was awarded the Kola Cross. He was promoted and gifted a custom-made Sako M2830 rifle. But despite the legends, Simo Höyhe was not invincible and was not a ghost. He was a man, just like any other Finn, manning the defenses. In early March 1940, as the winter receded, it became clear that though Finland had astonished the world by holding off the mighty Red Army, they could not hold out forever. The Soviets were learning, were gathering more firepower and more competent leaders and tactics. And as the winter ended, so too did the Finnish advantage with the weather. No matter how valiantly they resisted, the numbers would eventually crush them. On March 6th, Höyhe was caught up in the middle of a renewed Soviet offensive against Kola. Fighting with the regular troops, Höyhe had again killed at least a dozen that day. An exploding bullet hit him in the jaw and ripped his lower face apart. Saved by his comrades, he was dragged out of the fighting and into hospital. He spent several days in a coma, and when he awoke on March 13th, peace had been signed. The war was over for both him and his country. For around 25,000 square miles of territory, the Soviets had paid a high price. Most estimates of the Soviet dead are around 130,000, but it may actually have been as high as 250,000 dead men. Finland had David and Goliath, the USSR, on a scale no one imagined possible. Finnish independence had been saved.
If I remember correctly, the soldier of three armies was also fighting for Finland during that war and was given the Russians hell as well. I'm trying to remember his name. He had two names. He had his Finnish name, and then he had his name that he switched to Tom. I forget it right now.
Simo Höyhe would bear the wounds to his face for the rest of his life, but otherwise fully recovered. He could not go back to his own home, though, which was now on the other side of the Soviet border. but he found a new home and lived a long, peaceful life until his death in 2002. In later interviews, He repeatedly emphasized that during his service in the Winter War, he simply did what he was told. But he was the best at it. In not even 100 days, his official score was 505 kills,
Wow.
making him the most successful sniper in history. That's just the official tally. Unofficially, it was higher. Now, of course, those numbers will always be debatable, such is the nature of war, but the legend of White Death is very much alive today, and not just in Finland. When asked what it was that made him such a great sniper, He simply answered, practice. So why, of all the military figures available throughout the history of humanity, did you pick Simo to write about?
The story of Simo is one of the most inspiring in military history, at least for me. Personal opinion, of course, but that song and that story is kind of important for Sabaton history, because without that song, maybe we wouldn't even have the album Heroes that came later.
Okay, but it wasn't, his song isn't on Heroes.
No, that's on Coat of Arms. That was the first time we asked our fans, that's you guys, about sending in, basically giving us ideas for songs.
Okay, but you guys still do that?
Yes,
But this was the beginning.
That was the first time. We got a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. Pat's mailbox was, totally full. That was one of the stories that really, only by reading kind of the name makes you want to find out.
Now, so if they're sending in, several thousand suggestions, you obviously can't read whole biographies about all of these people or anything, right?
Oh, no. Obviously, Pat is the one who is going through it all, basically.
Is that right, Per?
Yeah.
All right.
No, I mean, Pat is sitting over there, and I mean, he's probably doing that right now, looking at suggestions.
Okay.
How many do you have per day, Pat? 50 or something?
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Per.
Let's see. The latest one is this.
Okay. Song topic, Global Conquest. Okay, there are many good tales of heroism, people from Portugal, Spain. Oh, this is interesting. Okay. Portuguese and Spanish explorers. Okay. Sebastian Elcano and Magellan, right? Traveling around the world for the first time. Pizarro, that would be interesting, although... Okay, and who sent this in to you? Adrian Crespo. Hey, Adrian Crespo. From me and from Sabaton. Okay, so Per actually is looking at your ideas to try and figure out what they're going to write more songs about.
I just love that Per was off camera doing some work and they just pulled him in.
Well, so he chose from, or he picked, maybe made a short list. You saw White Death. You thought, I want to learn more about a guy whose nickname is the White Death.
And it's a good metal title.
It really is a good metal title.
No, seriously though, for us, at that point, I don't think we had that many songs about a single individual.
Oh,
I
right,
mean, we
yeah,
covered
sure.
a lot, on the bigger scale, all the battles and stuff, but zooming in so much was really inspiring to write the lyrics.
Okay.
We didn't even know we were going to do Heroes, but me and Per basically said that, man, wait, maybe one day we should do a more personal album,
Now, when you were, reading up about Simo and stuff, were you also studying the Winter War in general, or were you just really more focusing on just the individual?
We'd already covered the Winter War in a way in the song Talvisot on the Art of
Which
War.
we
before.
did an episode.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, check it out.
And what was the reaction then, since you didn't do really individuals before? I mean, what was the reaction among the Finns, for example, to this?
For the Finnish people, I mean, most people in Finland would know about Simo Häyhä. However, us coming from Sweden, we didn't. I mean,
Yeah, that's true.
Every nation has its own histories.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people in Pakistan who don't know who Fonzie is, but I grew up with Fonzie.
Important part of military history right
We're
there.
going to do an episode on Fonzie one day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking about that with my wife today. We were on a little road trip, and I was telling her how history is taught so differently depending on where you live in the world. Obviously, in the United States, we're taught a lot of American history, and all this stuff from Europe that I'm learning from Sabaton is really stuff I didn't learn in school. And heck, even like Joachim just said, neighboring countries may not even know about their own neighbors' history when it comes to their heroes and their wars and their battles, that kind of thing. So it's really interesting to see how just history isn't history. History is each individual's country's history, and then a conglomeration of all of them is into the world history. So Very interesting. I never really was a huge history fan, but I'm starting to come around to that since I've been introduced to Sabaton and learning this way. So I don't know. I might have to do a little bit more history on the side and see what I can learn. I'm starting to enjoy it very much. So let's wrap up this history and we'll get into the live.
Too. That would be kind of cool if you guys wrote a song.
We should have Per play him the part, as well.
Oh, Parrot doing the thumbs up and the leather? That'd
Yeah,
be great.
yeah,
You'd be
give-
Fonzie.
Yeah,
Oh,
give,
wow,
him, give him a
that's
haircut
great.
and everything. It's fine.
All right, well, that was The White Death, and this is Sabaton History for today. See you next time.
Thanks everybody for watching this week's episode of Sabaton History Channel. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Don't forget to support us here on Patreon. And we will see each other very soon again, okay?
What is that? Become Patreon. Better for your health.
As always, support Sabaton and Indy on these Sabaton histories if you can. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into this live. I'm pretty sure this is from Woodstock. That's the one we've seen all the clips in there during the Sabaton history. Any chance I get to do a Woodstock live, I'm going to be doing it unless someone specifically requests another live. And even then, I might just say, there's a Woodstock live. We're going to do that one. So I love this Woodstock concert footage. The fans are the greatest up there in Poland. And I just enjoy every time I get to watch a live video from this concert. So let's jump into it. This is Sabaton White Death live at Woodstock. Here we go.
Actually, when I was walking on the festival earlier today, I realized something. There are several 100,000 people here, over 500,000. And this is like, it's even more than 500,000. And if this city, if you will, was in Sweden, this would be the second biggest city in all of fucking Sweden. And now, from coat of arms, the White Death!
All right, I gotta pause this at least once. I just realized I'm all the way through this live and haven't paused it once. The copyright will kill me if I don't pause it at least once. So enjoying the shit out of this live performance, as you can tell. I just forgot I was doing a reaction video there for a minute. Love it, love it, love it. These songs are always better live. I love it. All right. All right. That was White Death. If I'm rating this song, it's probably somewhere in my top 30, in between 20 and 30, somewhere up in there. But I had a ton of fun learning about the history behind it. I was scared there for a minute when they were starting to talk about him getting shot, that he was going to have been killed in the war. I'm glad he survived his injuries and was able to live out his life. But yeah, this is another great Sabaton song from back in the day. Let me see, what's the next one I'm doing after this? I forget. I think it is that Tavistola, the one that they were talking about during the history. So I'll be interested in getting into that. Man, I really hope Indy Nidell finishes up the history lessons for the new album. I'm chomping at the bit to get in there, especially the song Stormtroopers. I haven't heard it yet. Everybody's been telling me how great it is, and I'm just trying to avoid listening to it until I get the history. So, Indy, please give me a history for Stormtroopers. Thank you. All right, that's all I got for this reaction. If you guys enjoyed it, hit the like button down below. It doesn't hurt you at all, and it helps the channel out, helps get Sabaton's music spread out there to more people on YouTube, recommends it, that kind of stuff. If you're not already a subscriber, hit that big red button below, subscribe to the channel. By the time this posts, we should be really close, if not already past 10,000 subscribers. And again, thank you to everybody who's been helping the channel in that way. I appreciate it very much. I never dreamed I'd get to 10,000 subscribers in this quickly. So thank you, everybody, for helping me out there. And if you're not a patron already and you've got a little extra money and you can support the channel, I got a link up in the corner to the Patreon. If you come on over to the Patreon for just $1 a month, you can get early access to all these videos. As soon as I get done editing them, they go straight up onto Patreon. And then they get scheduled to come out one a day on YouTube going forward. So thank you to all my patrons. You guys rock. And it's really helped the channel grow as far as getting new software, new microphones, video, that equipment, that kind of stuff. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And not going to waste any more time. This was kind of a long one. So appreciate you stopping by. And don't forget to come on back.